still can't believe what happened 3 weeks ago. My husband Jake surprised me by booking a suite at the Grand Meridian Hotel for our 3rd wedding anniversary. The Grand Meridian, the place where celebrities stay when they're in Chicago. The place I'd only seen in magazines. "Pack your best dress, babe," Jake said that morning, kissing my forehead. "Tonight, we're celebrating like we should have 3 years ago." Our wedding had been small. Courthouse ceremony, dinner at Olive Garden, honeymoon at his parents' cabin in Wisconsin. Don't get me wrong, I loved every moment, but Jake had always felt guilty about not giving me something more. So when he told me about the hotel, I thought maybe things were finally looking up. His sales numbers had been good lately. We'd been talking about starting a family. I should have known something was wrong. The hotel lobby took my breath away. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors that reflected the light like mirrors, and a fountain in the center that probably cost more than our car. Jake had his arm around my waist as we walked to the front desk, and I remember thinking, this is it. This is the beginning of our next chapter. Checking in for Thompson, Jake told the receptionist, a young woman with perfect makeup and a smile that looked practiced. "Ah yes, the anniversary suite. Congratulations." She handed Jake 2 key cards in small leather folders. "You're on the 32nd floor. The bellhop will take your bags." "Our room." "No, our suite." It had floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Chicago skyline, a king-size bed with more pillows than I could count, a bathroom bigger than our bedroom at home with a bathtub that could fit 3 people. There was champagne chilling in an ice bucket, chocolate-covered strawberries on the nightstand, and rose petals scattered across the bed. "Jake, this is too much," I whispered, tears already forming in my eyes. "Nothing's too much for you, Sarah." He wrapped his arms around me from behind as we looked out at the city lights. "You deserve this. You deserve everything." We ordered room service. Steak, lobster, sides I couldn't even pronounce. Jake kept refilling my champagne glass, laughing at my jokes, telling me how beautiful I looked. For those 2 hours, everything felt perfect. Like we were in one of those romance movies where the couple ends up living happily ever after. Then his phone rang. "I need to take this," he said, stepping into the bathroom. I heard his voice, low and tense, through the door. When he came out 5 minutes later, his face had changed. The warmth was gone. "Babe, I need to run downstairs real quick. They have a gift shop, and I forgot to get you flowers." Can you believe that? What kind of husband doesn't bring his wife flowers on their anniversary? "Jake, the room has flowers. Look at all these roses. I want to get you something special. Your favorites. Those yellow tulips you love. I'll be back in 10 minutes, I promise." He kissed me quickly and headed for the door. "Wait, don't you need your wallet?" "I have it." He patted his pocket and walked out. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then an hour. I called his phone. "Straight to voicemail," I texted him. No response. I tried calling again and again until I'd left 7 voicemails and sent a dozen texts. "Jake, where are you? Is everything okay? I'm starting to worry. Please just text me back. Jake, this isn't funny." By midnight, I was sitting on the edge of that massive bed, still in my dress, my makeup smeared from crying. That's when someone knocked on the door. Finally, I ran to open it, ready to yell at him, ask him what the hell was going on. It wasn't Jake. It was a hotel manager, a thin man in his 50s with gray hair and a tight smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Mrs. Thompson?" "Yes, I'm Mr. Harrison, the night manager. I apologize for disturbing you at this late hour, but we have a situation. Your husband booked the suite with a credit card that was declined when we tried to process the full payment. We need to settle the balance of $5,300. The world tilted. "I'm sorry. What?" "The reservation was made with a deposit, but the remaining balance. We need payment before you can continue your stay. There must be some mistake. My husband said he paid for everything." "I understand this is awkward, ma'am. Perhaps you could call your husband and sort this out?" I showed him my phone, the unanswered calls and texts. Mr. Harrison's professional smile faded completely. "I see. Well, we'll need payment by morning, or we'll have to ask you to vacate the room. House policy. I'm very sorry." He left, and I collapsed onto the bed, shaking. $5,000. We didn't have $5,000. Our checking account had maybe $1,500, and that was for rent. What was Jake thinking? Where did he go? Why would he do this? I couldn't sleep. Around 3 in the morning, I gave up trying and took a shower, hoping the hot water would help me think, but thinking only made it worse. Every scenario I imagined was darker than the last. Accident, affair, gambling, drugs, dead in a ditch somewhere. When I came out, wrapped in the hotel's plush robe, I heard someone moving around in the main room. My heart jumped. Jake? But it wasn't Jake. It was a woman in a housekeeping uniform, African American, maybe in her late 40s, with graying hair pulled back in a bun. She was collecting the dinner plates we'd left on the table. "Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry," she said, startled. I saw the "Do Not Disturb" sign was off the door handle. I didn't mean to intrude. No, it's okay. I couldn't sleep anyway. My voice cracked on the last word, and before I could stop myself, I was crying again. The housekeeper set down the plates and walked over to me. "Honey, what's wrong? Are you hurt?" "My husband. He left. He's been gone for hours and he's not answering his phone, and now they're saying we owe $5,000 and I don't know what to do." The words tumbled out between sobs. She guided me to the couch and sat beside me. "Okay, let's take a breath. Start from the beginning." I don't know why I told her everything. Maybe because it was 4 in the morning and I was desperate. Maybe because she had kind eyes and a soft voice. Maybe because I needed someone, anyone, to tell me I wasn't crazy. She listened to every word, nodding occasionally, her expression growing more concerned. "That's terrible. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Have you called the police?" "And tell them what? That my husband went to buy flowers and didn't come back? They'll say it hasn't been 24 hours? "True." She was quiet for a moment, then looked at me carefully. "This might sound strange, but can I ask you something? What's your name?" "Sarah. Sarah Thompson." "Thompson," she repeated it slowly, like she was tasting the word. "And what was your maiden name?" "Collins." "Why?" Her hand went to her mouth. "Sarah Collins. Born in Madison, Wisconsin?" My skin prickled. "How do you know that?" She stood up and walked to the window, her back to me. When she turned around, tears were streaming down her face. "Because I've been looking for you for 20 years. I stared at her, my brain unable to process what she was saying. "What are you talking about?" "My name is Grace. Grace Collins." She pulled down the collar of her uniform, revealing her left shoulder. There, just above her collarbone, was a birthmark, a distinctive crescent moon shape. My hand automatically went to my own shoulder, to the identical birthmark I'd had since birth. The one my dad used to say was where an angel kissed me. "That's not possible," I whispered. "Your mother, Emily Collins, she had it too, and so did I, because Sarah, I'm your older sister." The room spun. I grabbed the arm of the couch to steady myself. "I don't have a sister. I'm an only child. My mother died when I was 3. "She died giving birth to me when you were 3, Grace said quietly. "Your father couldn't handle it. A 3-year-old daughter and a newborn, all by himself, drowning in grief. He remarried within a year. Barbara, right?" I nodded slowly. "My stepmother. Barbara had raised me. She was cold, distant, but she'd fed me and clothed me and gotten me through school. Barbara didn't want me. She told your father it was her or the baby, so he chose her. He chose you. He gave me to his sister, your Aunt Linda, to raise." Aunt Linda. The name stirred something in my memory. A woman I'd met once, maybe twice, at family gatherings when I was very young. She'd moved to California when I was 5. Dad said she wanted a fresh start after her divorce. Linda tried her best, but she had her own problems. Alcohol, bad relationships. When I was 7, Child Protective Services took me away. I went into foster care. Bounced around Illinois for years, different homes, different schools. I aged out of the system at 18 with nothing. No family, no support, no idea who I really was. But how did you find me? I didn't, not really. Not until 6 months ago. I finally saved enough money to do one of those DNA tests, the kind you see advertised everywhere. Thought maybe I'd find some distant cousins, someone who could tell me about my real family. Instead, I found you. Sarah Collins Thompson, living in Chicago. The sister I'd been dreaming about for 23 years. 6 months ago? Why didn't you contact me? Grace sat back down, wringing her hands. I was scared. What if you didn't believe me? What if you didn't want to know me? What if your life was perfect and I'd just be this reminder of everything your father gave away? So I watched you instead. I know that sounds creepy. I'm sorry. I found out where you worked, where you lived. I got this job at the hotel 3 months ago because I saw on your Facebook that your husband was talking about bringing you here for your anniversary. You've been following me for 6 months? I wanted to reach out so many times. I came to your apartment building twice and stood outside for an hour, trying to work up the courage to knock. But then I'd see you through the window, laughing with your husband, cooking dinner, looking so happy, and I'd think, she doesn't need me. She has her own life. But tonight, when I saw you crying, alone, I knew I couldn't walk away again. I should have been angry, or scared, or both. But looking at her face, at that birthmark that matched mine, at the tears that wouldn't stop falling, all I felt was a strange sense of recognition. Like a piece of me I didn't know was missing had suddenly clicked into place. "Say something," Grace whispered. "Please." I don't know what to say. This is insane. My entire life, I thought I was alone. Dad died 5 years ago. Barbara moved to Florida and we barely talk. My brother David is the only family I have left. You have a brother? Half-brother. Barbara's son from her first marriage. He's actually a lawyer here in Chicago. He's the only person who's ever really felt like family to me. And your husband? The question brought me crashing back to reality. Jake, the sweet, the $5,000, the fact that he'd abandoned me here. I don't know what happened to my husband, I said quietly, but I think my marriage might be over. Grace reached out and took my hand. Her palm was rough, calloused from years of hard work. Then let me help you. Let me be the family you need right now. Over the next hour, as the sky outside started to lighten, Grace and I talked, really talked. She told me about her life, the foster homes, the struggle to survive, the loneliness that never went away. I told her about growing up with Barbara's cold silence, about Dad who worked all the time to avoid being home, about meeting Jake in college and thinking I'd finally found someone who would choose me first. "I need to call my brother," I finally said. "David will know what to do." David answered on the second ring, his voice thick with sleep. "Sarah, it's 5:30 in the morning. What's wrong?" "Everything. I need you to come to the Grand Meridian Hotel. I'll explain when you get here. But David, I need your help. Please." "I'm on my way." He arrived 45 minutes later, still in sweatpants and a wrinkled t-shirt, his lawyer brain already in problem-solving mode. When I told him about Jake disappearing, about the $5,000, about Grace, he listened without interrupting. Then he turned to Grace. "Do you have proof of who you say you are?" Grace pulled out her phone and showed him the DNA test results, documents from Child Protective Services, old photos of her with Aunt Linda. David studied everything carefully, his expression unreadable. "This is legitimate," he finally said. "Sarah, this is your sister." Hearing him say it made it real. I started crying again, and Grace pulled me into a hug. She smelled like the hotel's industrial laundry soap and something else, something that reminded me of my mother even though I barely remembered her. David cleared his throat. "Okay, family reunion aside, we need to deal with the immediate problem. Jake, Sarah, I need you to be honest with me. Has he been acting strange lately? Money problems? Unexplained absences?" I thought about it. He's been stressed about work, said his numbers were down. But he told me he was fixing it, that he was about to close some big deals. "And you believed him?" "Why wouldn't I? He's my husband." David and Grace exchanged a look that made my stomach drop. "What?" I demanded. "What is it?" "Sarah," David said carefully, "I need you to let me access your bank accounts. All of them. Credit cards, too." "Why?" "Because I think Jake might have been lying about more than just the hotel." He was right. Over the next 2 hours, sitting in that hotel suite with my brother and the sister I'd just met, I watched my entire financial life unravel. The joint checking account had $53 in it. Jake had been making withdrawals, hundreds of dollars at a time, for the past 6 months. Our savings account, which should have had $8,000, was empty. And there were credit cards I didn't even know existed, all in both our names, all maxed out. $23,000, David said flatly. "That's how much debt you're looking at. When did you last check your credit report?" "I don't know. A year ago? Jake handled all our finances. He said I shouldn't worry about it. Of course he did. David's jaw was tight. And I'm betting I know where the money went. He pulled up a browser on his laptop and typed something. A website appeared. Rivers Casino. Jake has a gambling problem, doesn't he? Grace said quietly. David nodded. One of my clients is a therapist who specializes in addiction. She's told me the warning signs. The secrecy, the mood swings, the lying about money, the desperate gestures like booking expensive hotel rooms to make up for it. He turned to me. Sarah, think. Has he ever mentioned casinos? Late nights he couldn't explain? Phone calls he had to take privately? I thought back to the past year. Jake coming home at 2, 3 in the morning, saying he was out with clients. The phone calls he always took in another room. The way he'd sometimes be euphoric, taking me out to dinner, buying me gifts, and other times he'd be sullen and withdrawn. Oh my God, I whispered. How did I not see it? Because you loved him, Grace said. And when you love someone, you want to believe the best of them. David was already on his phone, making calls. First to the hotel to negotiate the bill, explaining the situation, buying us time. Then to a private investigator he knew. Then to his office, canceling his morning meetings. Okay, he said, setting his phone down. Here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to find Jake. Second, we're going to figure out exactly how deep he's in. Third, we're going to get you out of this mess. How? I asked hopelessly. I'm responsible for half that debt. Even if we divorce, I'm still on the hook. Not if we can prove fraud. Not if we can show he opened accounts without your knowledge and forged your signature. And what about my house? My dad left me his house. It's the only thing I have left of him. It's in my name, but Jake has been pushing me to add him to the title. He said it was romantic, proof that we're partners in everything. David's face went dark. Tell me you didn't sign anything. Not yet. He brought home the papers last week. They're sitting on our kitchen counter. Thank God. David stood up. Grace, do you have a car? An old Honda. Why? Because we're going to Sarah's house right now to get those papers before Jake does. Sarah, is there anything else at the house you need? Documents? Computer? Anything that might have information? His laptop. He keeps it in his office. And maybe bank statements? I think he has a file cabinet. Perfect. Let's go. The drive to my house felt surreal. Me in the back seat of Grace's battered Civic, still wearing last night's dress, with David in the passenger seat making more phone calls, and Grace driving like she'd been part of our family forever. Our house, a small 2-bedroom in Logan Square that had been my dad's, looked innocent in the morning light. David tried the door. Locked. Do you have your keys? He asked. I held up the hotel key card. These are the only keys I have. Everything else is in my purse in our bedroom. Then we're breaking in. Grace, do you know how to pick a lock? Foster care taught me a lot of survival skills, she said dryly, pulling bobby pins from her hair. 3 minutes later, we were inside. The house was a disaster. Papers everywhere, drawers pulled open, cushions thrown off the couch. Someone had been here, searching for something. What the hell? I breathed. David moved through the house carefully, checking each room. Clear. Whoever was here is gone. The kitchen counter was empty. The papers Jake had brought home, the ones that would have added him to my house title, were gone. Check his office, David ordered. Jake's office was the worst. His computer was gone. The file cabinet was empty, folders scattered across the floor. But in the trash can, I found something. A crumpled receipt from Rivers Casino dated yesterday. $4,000 in chips cashed out. He was there yesterday, I said, showing David. Right before he took me to the hotel. David's phone rang. He listened for a minute, his expression growing darker. Thank you. Send me everything you have. He hung up and looked at me. That was my investigator. She ran Jake's name through her contacts. Sarah, your husband owes money to some very dangerous people. Not just the casino, private bookies, the kind who break kneecaps when you don't pay. How much? $200,000. The number didn't even seem real. Where would he get $200,000? That's what he's been trying to figure out. And I think I know what his plan was. David picked up one of the folders from the floor. Inside was a printout of a real estate estimate for my house. $450,000. He was going to get you to sign over the house, sell it, pay off his debts, and probably disappear with whatever was left. But I didn't sign it. So what now? So now he's desperate. And desperate people do desperate things. As if on cue, my phone rang. Jake. I looked at David. Answer it, he said. Put it on speaker. I did, my hand shaking. Jake? Sarah? Baby? Oh, thank God. Are you okay? Where are you? He sounded panicked, out of breath. Where am I? Jake, you left me at the hotel. You've been gone for 8 hours. I know. I'm so sorry. Something came up. A family emergency. My mom, she fell. And I had to rush to Milwaukee. And my phone died. And everything went crazy. You're lying. Silence. Then, what? Your mother is fine. I know because David called her this morning. I know about the gambling, Jake. I know about the debt. I know everything. More silence. When he spoke again, his voice had changed. Cold. Then you know how serious this is. Those people, Sarah, they're not playing around. I need money. Now. I don't have any money. You spent it all. You have the house. The house isn't yours. It will be when you sign those papers. They're on the kitchen counter, remember? Sign them. Meet me at First National Bank when it opens at 9. We're selling the house. No. Sarah, you don't understand. You're right. I don't understand. I don't understand how you could do this, how you could lie to me, steal from me, abandon me, but I understand one thing clearly. I'm not giving you my house. God damn it, Sarah, he was yelling now. These people will kill me. Is that what you want? Do you want them to find me in a dumpster somewhere? That's not my problem anymore, Jake. We're done. You can't just wait. Where are the papers? I'm at the house and they're not here. I looked at David, who mouthed hang up. Goodbye, Jake. I ended the call and immediately turned off my phone. My hands wouldn't stop shaking. David put his arm around me. You did good, sis. Now let's get out of here before he comes back. We piled back into Grace's car, this time with a garbage bag full of documents and folders David had salvaged from the office. As Grace pulled away from the curb, I saw Jake's car turning onto our street. Drive, David said calmly. Don't speed, don't draw attention, just drive normally. Grace's knuckles were white on the steering wheel, but she followed directions. We took side streets back toward downtown, checking constantly to make sure we weren't followed. Where are we going? I asked. My office. We need to call the police and report everything. But first, I need to show you something. David pulled out his laptop and opened a folder. While you were talking to Jake, I got an email from my investigator. She found something interesting. He turned the screen toward me. It was a surveillance photo from outside my house, time-stamped from yesterday morning. Jake was there, but he wasn't alone. A woman was with him. Blonde, maybe 40, wearing expensive clothes and carrying a designer handbag. Who is that? Your sister-in-law. Melissa. I stared at the photo. Jake's sister? What was she doing at our house? The better question is, what's she been doing for the past 6 months? David clicked to another photo. Jake and Melissa at a restaurant. Another of them at a bank. A third of Melissa handing Jake an envelope. I don't understand. Melissa has been funding Jake's gambling. She's been giving him money, probably under the table, for months. My investigator pulled her financial records. She's in deep, too. Real estate investments that went bad, margin calls she can't cover. The bank is about to foreclose on her house. So she was what? Trying to help her brother? No, David said slowly. She was investing in him. Jake told her about your house, about how much it's worth. She's been giving him money to gamble with, expecting him to win big and pay her back. When that didn't work, they moved to Plan B. Get you to sign over the house, sell it, split the proceeds. But they're siblings. They're supposed to, I stopped. Oh my God, Grace. Is Grace safe? We both turned to look at Grace, who was focused on driving. She glanced at us in the rearview mirror. Why wouldn't I be safe? Because you're inconvenient, David said grimly. Sarah has a sister now, a real sister, with DNA proof. That complicates things for Melissa, doesn't it? If something happens to Sarah, the house goes to her next of kin. Used to be that was just me, Barbara, and Jake as her husband. Now it's you too. Grace's face paled. You think they'd hurt her? I think desperate people do terrible things, and $200,000 is a lot of desperation. We spent the rest of the day at David's law office. Police came and took our statements. We handed over every document, every photo, every piece of evidence we had. They issued a warrant for Jake's arrest and sent officers to pick up Melissa for questioning. By evening, I was exhausted, empty, numb. Grace had stayed with me the entire time, holding my hand through the police interviews, getting me coffee, just being there. "You can stay at my place tonight," David said. "Both of you. I have a guest room and a couch." "Actually," Grace said hesitantly, "I have a small apartment in Pilsen, 2 bedrooms. My roommate just moved out. If you want, Sarah, you could stay with me. Just until this gets sorted out." I looked at her, this woman who was a stranger 12 hours ago and now felt like the only person in the world who truly understood what I was going through. "I'd like that," I said. Grace's apartment was tiny, a 3rd-floor walk-up with slanted ceilings and radiators that clanged in the night. But it was clean and warm, and it smelled like the lavender candles Grace had burning in the kitchen. "The bedroom's yours," she said, showing me a small room with a twin bed and a single dresser. "I know it's not much, but—" "It's perfect," I interrupted. "Thank you for everything. I don't even know how to thank you." "You don't have to thank me. You're my sister." That night, lying in Grace's spare bed, wearing her borrowed pajamas, I cried harder than I'd cried in years. For the marriage that was over, for the money that was gone, for the trust that had been broken, but also, strangely, for the family I'd found. The next 3 days were a blur. Police interviews, lawyers, restraining orders. David filed for emergency divorce on my behalf and started the process of separating me from Jake's debts. The investigator found more evidence: emails between Jake and Melissa detailing their plan, text messages discussing how to manipulate me into signing over the house, even a recorded conversation where Melissa suggested taking care of me if I didn't cooperate. On the 4th day, David called me with news. They found Jake. He was at Rivers Casino, trying to win back enough money to run. Police arrested him there. They got Melissa at her house. She tried to claim she didn't know about any plan to hurt you, but the evidence is overwhelming. They're both being charged with conspiracy to commit fraud, attempted theft, and conspiracy to commit murder. Murder? The DA found texts between them discussing permanent solutions. They're taking it seriously. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I just felt sad. The man I'd loved, the man I'd pledged my life to, was going to prison. "There's more," David continued. "The police interviewed Jake. He's offering to testify against Melissa in exchange for a reduced sentence. Apparently, the whole thing was her idea. She's the one who got him into gambling in the first place, introduced him to the bookies, promised him he could make enough to pay off her debts too. When it all went south, she's the one who suggested the house scheme. Do you believe him? Honestly, I think they're both guilty, but Jake was weak and Melissa was predatory. They deserve each other." The trial took 6 months. I testified, told my story, let the jury see the bank statements and the texts and the photos. Jake got 8 years. Melissa got 12. The judge was not sympathetic to people who preyed on family members. During those 6 months, I lived with Grace. We learned each other's habits, our triggers, our dreams. She taught me how to make the soup our mother used to make, a recipe she'd gotten from Aunt Linda before Linda died of liver failure 10 years ago. I helped her study for her GED, which she'd never finished. We talked for hours about everything and nothing, filling in decades of missed sisterhood. David helped me rebuild my finances. The court ruled that I wasn't responsible for the debts Jake had incurred through fraud. My credit was destroyed, but it could be rebuilt. The house was safe, and David helped me refinance to get Jake's name off everything. 1 year after that awful night at the Grand Meridian Hotel, Grace and I stood in the backyard of my house, our house now, planting a garden. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs, and flowers. Yellow tulips, like Jake had promised to get me, but never did. "I keep thinking about what you said that night," I told Grace, as we dug in the dirt. "About how you'd been dreaming about finding me for 23 years. Did it turn out like you hoped?" Grace sat back on her heels, dirt under her fingernails, her birthmark visible at the collar of her shirt. "Better," she said. I thought I wanted to find my family. Turns out, I needed to become someone's family. You are my family. You saved me that night, not just from the hotel bill or from Jake. You saved me from being alone. You saved me too. All those years in foster care, all those nights wondering if anyone in the world would ever choose me. You chose me, Sarah. You didn't have to believe me, didn't have to let me in, but you did. Of course I did. You're my sister. The words felt true in a way that went beyond DNA, beyond birthmarks, beyond the accident of shared parents. Grace was my sister because we'd chosen each other, because we'd built something together from the ruins of what others had destroyed. My phone buzzed. A text from David. Court's calling. Melissa's parole hearing got denied. Jake's requesting to meet with you. I told them no, but wanted you to know. I showed the text to Grace. Do you want to see him? She asked. No, that chapter's closed. I'm done looking back. What about looking forward? Forward is good. Forward is here, with you, planting tulips and building a life that's actually mine. Grace smiled and handed me a small plant. Then let's plant this one right here, where we can see it from the kitchen window. So every morning when we make coffee, we'll remember that the best things in life are the ones we grow ourselves. I planted the tulip carefully, pressing the soil around its roots, giving it water and space to bloom. Behind us, the house stood solid and safe. Our house, our home, the place where two sisters, separated by trauma and reunited by chance, were finally building the family we'd both been searching for all along. The story of my marriage might have ended in betrayal, but the story of my life? That was just beginning. And this time, I wasn't alone.